Hello and welcome in. I'm Kurt Dudley, Director of Broadcast Services for the Dukes of James Madison University, as we learn about, well, some of the behind the scene work that does take place at James Madison as far as the athletics program and the support of its student athletes. Oftentimes we talk about the Integrated Health and Sports Performance Program, and kind of a piece of that is the leadership program. And all of those components have things to do with life after James Madison University. In this area in particularly does so. And I welcome in Assistant Athletic Director for the Dukes for Student Leadership, Meredith Crawford. Meredith, thank you for joining us and really look forward to your leadership in guiding us through as we talk a little bit about this program.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to kick off the year and do a little bit with Duke's Lead. So thanks, Kurt.
Now, Duke's Lead has been a program that's been around for a while. I think the foundation was established, as I learned from you, Meredith, and working with folks here in the past, Casey Carter, who is a retired athletic director at James Madison. Also, Brad Burgess, who was on the Duke Club staff, was on the staff there when Meredith was on the Duke Club before moving into this role.
It's confusing. They're not going to keep up.
I understand. Yeah, but it at least sets the foundation of what we're doing here. Yes. They are. They're all interconnected, and it actually works well because networking is very key into your operation. But Meredith, you have picked up the baton and the momentum on this program, and because of that, there's really a lot of excitement. Even though we're in these current times with COVID, there's a lot of excitement for this program.
Yeah, I mean, we're figured it out. Going into my fourth year of being kind of at the lead of this student athlete leadership program. The kids know it as Duke's Lead, right? And it's super exciting. We actually had our first event just a week ago and had over 200 athletes at it. So we already have that momentum going into year 4 of, the real programming.
Now, this is broken down, as we've talked before. I understand there are 5 areas of concentration, and each of those areas certainly have their specific benefits to the student athletes, and appreciate a little bit of your time in sharing what those 5 components might be.
Sure, yeah. So 5 components. We really try to help with the full kind of well-rounded student athlete to prepare them for life outside of athletics, outside of the classroom. So the first thing is we provide a series of workshops and seminars throughout the year. We have 10 offerings this fall. Every student athlete's required to do 4 a semester. So that, guest speakers, and that's internal and external guest speakers, personal development, professional development, life skills, leadership skills, really looking at all the things, all the hot topics that we want to get in front of our student athletes. The second pillar is career development. We really try to hone in on helping. We have one-on-one office hours that we do right now virtually, where we're helping with resumes and cover letters and job applications, grad school applications. With the career development, we have a mentor program where we can connect them with former student athletes who are in industries that they want to be in. We have great connections with companies and former student athletes that want to hire and help. So that career development platform is a big one for us to help really specifically work with the individual student athletes. Community service falls under the Duke's Lead program, and JMU Athletics really prides itself on having, great community service. Our department goal is 5,000. Last year, we got almost 6,500 hours of community service. Every athlete's required to do 10 hours a year, right? So that's a really great, initiative for us. SAC, which is our leadership group of student athletes, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, falls under Duke's Lead. That's at least 2 representatives from every team. We meet once or twice a month. They talk about things that are happening on campus. They're the voice of athletics to administration. They help with social events, community service events. It's a really great leadership group of athletes. And then the final component of Duke's Lead is an international experience. Right now in COVID world, it's not happening, but we had a really great program set up last year. We were going to have a group of student athletes go to Ireland over spring break, and they were doing kind of a semester class that tied to that. Obviously, it didn't happen, but we are hopeful that, once all this kind of blows over, we can get that back up and running and get some of our athletes to have that study abroad kind of international experience.
So a very comprehensive program when it comes down to it. Now, I must say also that here at James Madison University, a lot of those same type of resources are available to the general student population as well. But why it's important to have this as a part of the athletic program is simply because, well, there's the reality that a student athlete's time is extremely valuable. Not to take away the time of a general student population, but it is quite a bit regimented, regardless of what sport that you play. And so with that, it became difficult for, I think, many student athletes to get those resources where when you've got it within the athletic program and a person like you, it really gives them that advantage that other students do have.
Yeah, I think, when you look at the regular student, not that they don't have busy schedules, they do, but they're able to really find time for a lot of these things where a student athlete's schedule, if you look from the moment they wake up, they're going to lift and then practice and then class and then study hall and then sometime they eat and then they go back to study hall. There is a full day for them. And so it's great that our leadership program, and we really do take that initiative where we want to bring the programming to them. Actually this evening it is National Voter Registration Day today, and this evening we're having a program to help our student athletes register to vote, right? So maybe they've been putting it off, but now we intentionally are giving them a space, an hour time tonight that their coaches are on board, to do. And we hope to get a lot of our student athletes registered to vote. But that's in anything. We have a mental health seminar coming up in a couple of weeks. And, there's much more programming that we're able to bring to our student athletes. And for example, tonight's thing is with the Office of Civic Engagement. So it's an internal resource that we have, they've been helping. They help all our students at JMU, all 22,000 register to vote. But tonight they're focusing on our student athletes, which is great. So having that partnership internally and bringing the platform to our student athletes is a really great benefit. Their time is very, sparse, right? They don't have a lot of it. So I think it's great. Our student athletes also feel sometimes that they don't have time to go get an internship or, have a job, because being an athlete is a job. It's a 30+ hour a week job. And when we do our office hours and do their resume reviews, we make sure that they put a lot of meat in that line item that says that they're a student athlete, because that's a job, right? So getting them to hear from me and others and former student athletes about how being a student athlete is such a resume add, like when an employer looks at resumes and they see that they're a student athlete, they know that there are so many intangible skills that they have that they can bring to a company. So we're able to let those student athletes know that and then utilize that to get that internship or get that first job out of college, because they are a really valuable, marketable person in a company.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I've seen it as working with JMU student athletes for a long time, following their careers now in many ways. Social media helps us to do that. I'm sure that you've got some of your recent graduates out there that you're very proud of and keeping an eye on and staying in touch with them, because they become part of that big network as well. Now, full disclosure, as Meredith said, we're talking on September the 22nd. So depending on when you watch this, of course, has some bearing. But I bring that up purposefully, Meredith, because this program, it is not a stale, stagnant program. It's not, this is a cookie cutter situation. There are certainly assembly line processes with it, but it has to be the leadership program has to be extremely flexible, namely to keep up with the changing times that are changing so much more rapidly, for good, bad sometimes, but those are the resiliencies, the adjustments that a leadership program provides to our student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, when COVID hit back in March of last year, or last academic year, the whole program went virtual, right? We had all these speakers lined up to come to campus. Well, that didn't happen. So we looked at what that content was supposed to be and we made it virtual. We did some TED Talks. They did reflections. We had over 500 reflections. The student athletes bought into it, right? We did some great programming through the summer. And then now in the fall, we have the hot topics. We're doing voter registration. We're having another one about the election coming up in November. Mental health is a huge topic right now amongst the NCAA and its student athletes. We have a speaker coming virtually to us with a mental health seminar. We're doing live industry panels with a lot of our former student athletes who are working in different fields, and we listen to our student athletes. So like maybe last year we didn't have enough representation in the health sciences. Well, a lot of our student athletes come in to be physician assistants or occupational therapists or nurses, right? So now we have a panel coming in late November specifically with health sciences. So like Kurt said, we want to, be nimble, right? And bring what the athletes want. So we listen to the coaches, the student athletes, they can offer up a guest speaker that maybe we want to use. And then we reach out to that guest speaker, and we have done that multiple times. And it's been a huge success when we listen to our athletes and our coaches about what they want. That's where we get the buy-in and we're making the biggest impact for them.
Well, Meredith, thank you for speaking to Duke's lead, a great leader we do have in that program. And you also have heard some of the other areas. We've talked to Dr. Bob Harmison of sports psychology, Lauren Hartman from nutrition, and Meredith even, she touched on those areas without mentioning their names. So you see how it is, as I mentioned, and as it is called, the Integrated Health and Sport Performance Program, but it is to support the JMU Dukes, and it does show up in the win column, not only in wins and losses when they're playing, but in the win column when they do graduate. So Meredith, thank you very much. We do appreciate the hours and effort that you put in for all of our Dukes. We know that you're passionate about it. So thank you once again.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Go Dukes.